Have you ever been watching a YouTube video where the person says, and now transpose this lick into all 12 keys, and thought to yourself, how on earth am I supposed to be able to play this lick in all 12 keys? If so, then you are in the right place, because today I am going to show you a beginner's guide on how to transpose songs and licks. And I'm going to do it using a step-by-step method so that you can apply this approach to any song or any lick that you want to play. At the end of this tutorial, I'll show you some tips and tricks that will make the whole process a lot easier. So let's transpose a song. The tune that we are going to work on today is the jazz standard My Romance, written by Rodgers and Hart. And this is what the first 8 measures sounds like. We are going to learn My Romance in the key of G major, so that is from G to G with an F sharp. But of course, I'm going to show you how to play it in any key that you want. Here is the absolute most important thing when it comes to transposing licks or songs. When it comes to transposing licks or songs, you never think about note names. You never think about note names, you think about scale degrees. So if we look at the first note in this song, it is a B. That B does not tell us anything except how to finger the note. That's the only information that B gives us. If we look at it as a scale degree in the key of G major, it gives us all the information that we need to transpose this B into any other key. So when we think in scale degrees, we can see that that B is G, A, B. It is the third note, or the third scale degree of the G scale. So when we're thinking about scale degrees, we give each of the notes in the scale a number name. So G is 1, A is 2, B is 3, C is 4, D is 5, so on and so forth. When you look at the first 3 notes in this melody, you have B, C, D. And if we think about them in scale degrees, in the key of G, so we have G, A, B, which is the third, C, which is the fourth, and D, which is the fifth. And of course, this is what it sounds like. Now, if we want to transpose this into any other key, we just have to think of another major scale and play the third, fourth, and fifth degrees of that scale. So if I wanted to do that in the key of C, of course, C is from C to C with all naturals. We have C, D, E, which is the third, F, which is the fourth, and G, which is the fifth. If I want to do it in the key of D, the third is F sharp, the fourth is G, and the fifth is A. So when I transpose these first 3 notes into different keys, I am thinking in scale degrees. Of course, along with the scale degrees, I'm thinking about the key signature of the new key. So for example, when I played it in the key of D, the key of D major has an F sharp and a C sharp in it. So of course I'm playing those notes. And that's the basic approach to transposing licks and songs into different keys. You break them down into scale degrees and then you plug in the new scale. And when you start incorporating this into your practice sessions, it's going to give you a completely different way to think about and hear music. All right, let's take a look at the second part of this phrase. So it goes B, C, D again, and then it just keeps going up the scale. So you have E, F sharp, G, and then another G. So we are going to start on the third, then play the fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, back to the root. So that is another thing that you want to pay really close attention to, is the pattern of the notes. In this case, we're starting on the third and going up the scale to the root at the top. So you don't need to think 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. You just need to think, I'm starting on the third and I'm going to the root on the top. If I play this in the key of F, my third is F, G, A. And of course, I'm going to play in the key of F, which has a B flat. So I'm going to start on that third and play up the F scale to the F on the top. So A, B flat, C, D, E, F. And if I wanted to do it in the key of D, I would start on the third of D, which has an F sharp and a C sharp in it. D major has an F sharp and a C sharp. So I would play F sharp, G, A, B, C sharp, D. I figure out my scale degrees, and then I just plug in the new key. Okay, let's figure out the last part of this phrase. So we are on that high G, and then we have scale-wise motion. In other words, we're just gonna go down the scale to the D. Of course, the D and the key of G is G, A, B, C, D. It's the fifth. Don't be afraid to use your fingers when you're counting out scale degrees. It makes it a lot easier. So we're gonna start on the root on the top, play down the scale to the fifth. So that would be 1, 7, 6, 5. In the key of F. In the key of A. All I'm doing is thinking about my scale degree, what scale degree I'm on, and of course I'm playing scale-wise motion, so I'm thinking about where I'm starting, which is the root on the top, and I know I'm going scale-wise motion down to the fifth. Now, as you start transposing licks and songs, you're gonna realize that you have 3 notes that are more important than all of the other notes, and those are your chord tones. Your 1, your 3, and your 5. You're gonna realize that oftentimes phrases start or end on those notes. Oftentimes you're going to jump to those notes. Those notes are more important than all of the other scale degrees. So if you can use those as anchor notes, it's going to make learning, memorizing, and remembering songs and licks a whole lot easier. Now let's take a look at the second part of this phrase with the pickups going into measure 5. So the notes are G, A, B, and we're in the key of G, so that means we're playing 1, 2, 3. It does not get any easier than that. So we can play 1, 2, 3 in any key. Here it is in the original key, which is G. Here it is in A, which would be A, B, C sharp. Here it is in B, which would be B, C sharp, D sharp. 1, 2, 3 is really easy to play in any key. But I'm sure you're starting to realize right now that knowing your scales is super important when it comes to transposing, because you have to be able to think in different key signatures. Think in different key signatures, meaning what's the 4th in the key of F? What's the 7th in the key of A? Those notes need to just pop up in your mind as you're thinking of them. Now, the good news is the more you transpose, the more you work on this, the easier it gets. In the beginning, that is going to be a bit of the struggle of learning how to transpose and making it feel really comfortable. From there, we start on a G again, and this time we just go right up the scale to the 6th. So we're playing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. In the key of G, it sounds like this. In the key of F, again, we're just going to start on the 1, which is F, and play up to the 6th, which is D, and of course play scale-wise motion, so we're going to play all the notes in between. F, G, A, B flat, because that is in the key of F, C, and D. Transposing made easy. And to close it out, in the key of G, we are on that E, which is the 6th, and we just bring it down to the 3rd using scale-wise motion again. So we play 6, 5, 4, 3. In the key of A, your 6 would be A, B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, and then you would bring it down to your 3, which of course is C sharp. In the key of F, your 6 would be F, G, A, B flat, C, D, and you're going to bring it down to your 3rd, which is A. And that's it. That's transposing the first 8 measures of My Romance into pretty much any key that you want by using scale degrees. I'm getting very close to 100,000 subscribers, which I'm very excited about. So if you are not yet a subscriber to my YouTube channel, now would be a great time to click that button. All right, here are some super important things to keep in mind when it comes to transposing. When you first start transposing, keep it really simple. Play nursery rhymes, maybe Christmas songs, pop songs, things that are gonna be pretty easy, that are gonna stay in one key, that don't have a bunch of crazy large interval jumps. It's gonna make your life a lot easier, and you're gonna build confidence. When it comes to a new skill like this, building your confidence in the beginning is gonna make it a whole lot easier for you to get good at it. Second, start off by only practicing transposing for 5 or 10 minutes of your practice session. This can get really frustrating if you're fighting with some hard keys, so don't make it your whole practice session. Just do it for 5 or 10 minutes, and the more you do it, the better you're going to get at it, the more time you can spend on it. But in the beginning, 5 or 10 minutes is going to go a really long way. When you are starting off with transposing songs and licks into different keys, do not try to do them in all 12 keys. The juice is not worth the squeeze. Start off with the 4 or 5 easier keys like C, G, D, A, F, maybe E or B flat. Once you get really good at thinking in those keys, again, when it comes to transposition, you are thinking in different keys. Once you get really good at thinking in those keys, add on another key that's a little bit more difficult and keep doing that as you get better at transposing. Don't try to play F sharp, C sharp, and A flat in the beginning. It's going to be super frustrating and it's just going to slow you down. Start off thinking in the easier keys first. And most importantly, break it down into small little pieces. Don't try to transpose the whole lick or the whole song all at one time. When I was breaking down My Romance, we did it in very short segments. Do that when you are transposing. Break it down into short segments and then put those segments together until you finally have the full phrase or the full section. The better you get at transposing, the easier it is to do it in bigger sections, but in the beginning, break it down into really small sections. And that's your step-by-step guide to transposing licks and songs into any key you want to play them in. Thanks for taking the time to check out this video. If you'd like to dive deeper into my saxophone world, come check me out at the Scott Paddock Sax School.